Hey guys, it's Metro, and today we're gonna cover all the gear that I took with me on my Appalachian Trail through hike, some of the gear that didn't make it, and some of the new items that I'll be taking with me in 2026. With that being said, it is a beautiful day, so let's keep moving. All right, guys, here it is. This is all the items that I took with me on my Appalachian Trail through hike. And if I was to through hike the Appalachian Trail again, these are the items that I would take with me. In today's video, I will go through a further breakdown of each of these items, but also talk about items that might have failed and items that I have replaced those items with on the Appalachian Trail moving forward into my future hikes. So with that being said, I'm going to move from the left to the right. And again, I'll break down each one of these pods. So I'll show you what was in those little pods so you'll have a better idea of what I was using both on trail and as well as at camp, as well as what I was wearing, as well as my footwear and all of those questions that you might have on your side. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So up here at the top, this is the Hyperlite Unbound 2-person tent. This is an excellent 2-person tent. Comes in at 22 ounces. I definitely recommend this. This is in spruce green. I had another Unbound 2-person tent, but that was attacked by a bear. Thank you to Hyperlite Mountain Gear for replacing that tent. I love the new spruce green. I used it on my remainder of the Appalachian Trail through hike, and I will continue to use that on future hikes. In fact, I'll break this out this weekend when I go on a little weekend warrior type camp. All right, guys, I got the Unbound 2-person tent set up in full porch mode. Both vestibules have been pulled up, so I've got nice airflow. The next pod that you see here, this is a Montbell stuff sack, 3 liters, but inside of it is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite NXT, as well as a Sea to Summit premium pillow. Now, my other pillow from Flextail did fail, so I picked up that Sea to Summit pillow at REI, and it did the job just fine. I just wish it had a strap to keep it attached to my pad because, as you probably know, pillows are notorious for flying off. Now, the Thermarest Neo Air NXT, that was replaced midway through the hike, and at trail days, the reps actually replaced that pad for me. So thank you to Cascade Designs for replacing that Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite NXT. Definitely appreciate that. Now, as you probably watched my videos, you saw me wearing the Lone Peak 9 Pluses. These are by Ultra. Now, I went through about 5 pairs of shoes, and this was my last pair of 9 Pluses. I did replace those shoes, and I'll go ahead and show you now what I replaced them with the Lone Peak 9 Plus by Ultra. These are a nice little flashy color, and I guess it matches my personality, but for every 300 to 400 miles, I recommend replacing your shoes, but also I recommend replacing your socks. The socks that I recommend replacing them with are the Injinji Outdoor Merino Wool Socks. And if you are a darn tough specialist and say, oh, that's all I want to wear, make sure you pick up the liners by Injinji. These are great. These are merino wool. I wore either the liners or these outdoor merino wool socks when I was backpacking the Appalachian Trail on every single hike, and I was able to manage avoiding blisters the entire way. So these are 2 socks I recommend. And the footwear, again, Ultra Lone Peak 9 Pluses. I did have a number of 9s, but the 9 Pluses did well, and here's my new replacement shoe. Moving down, these were my camp shoes. These are something I picked up in Hot Springs. These are Fit Kicks. I am not sponsored by any of these companies that I just showcased here, Ultra or Fit Kicks. But these are the footwear that I was using. These are my camp shoes. After I got done hiking all day long, I would use these lightweight Fit Kick shoes as my camp shoes just to basically get in and out of my tent at night, especially if I need to go to the restroom or just to lounge around and so forth. Now over here, this is the Hyperlite Mountain Gear pod. This is a roll down pod. This is the, I believe, the 10-liter pod. And inside of here, I have a Enlightened Equipment Revelation quilt, 40 degrees on that for the summer months. And this was more than enough in terms of temperature control for me to be able to manage the temperatures that were happening during the summer. Now, during the winter months, I did have the Enlightened Equipment Revelation 10-degree quilt versus the 40-degree Revelation that's in there right now. So Hyperlite pod, stuff sack. I love those, definitely recommend it. Didn't have any issues with water penetrating through and getting my down quilt wet. So again, using the Enlightened equipment, Revelation 40-degree quilt, that was awesome. Definitely recommend it. Check it out. I'll go ahead and show you a little bit more about that. As far as my sleep system goes, you have the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite NXT with the Revelation quilt by Enlightened equipment, along with the Comfort Pillow by Sea to Summit. As we move to the top, this was my sit pad. This is actually one of those Z soles that I cut down into a small piece. This is all I used as a chair, but also my little pad for anything that I was doing, laying down, sitting, or whatever. I would pull this out, and this was more than enough. I did have a couple times where I used this as a windscreen. You might see some burns here that happened on the sit pad, but this was one of my favorite pieces of gear. This is something I recommend everyone to have. This is all you really need in terms of a sit pad or a seat on trail, so definitely check out the Z sole. And again, you can cut down multiple pieces and share with a friend, which is always nice. In terms of my hat, I had two hats here. The primary hat that I had was my Glacial Gear hat, where I wrote "Hiker Stink." You might have seen that in my videos. I had this flipped up, and this worked great. Wore this for most of the Appalachian Trail through hike. Even when I summited, I wore this hat. But I did want to mention that I did use this Swift hat by Outdoor Research. This is a sun hat, and the reason why I like it so much is because it's like mesh, really breathable, but it gives you just enough sun coverage on there on the side. So when I was exposed above the tree line in the alpine areas, this was the hat that I wore. But for the most part, for the majority of the through hike, I wore the Glacial Gear hat, and that was perfect. I love this company. Make sure you check them out. They make a variety of merino wool products. Great company, good stuff. Definitely recommend it. As far as my sunglasses, these are Blenders. I'm not sponsored by Blenders, but I love their glasses. They do have a great warranty, and that's why I'm mentioning them. I did have a couple other pairs that I was using. Reached out to them, and they replaced my sunglasses when the mirror started to come off, and they actually sent me these in Damascus. So I had these for about 1,200 miles, and they did just fine. And I did keep them inside of a case during the time, just like a regular sunglass case, very flimsy material, but it was able to keep the scratches off. I'm surprised how good they look after 1,200 miles. But Blenders, those were my sunglasses. Definitely recommend that company. Now, as far as my trekking poles go, these are the Alpine cork, carbon cork, I should say. Let me pull this out so you can see it. I started having some issues with the flick locks, but these are the Alpine carbon cork trekking poles, and the majority of the issues came from the edges. I had to wear the tips started to wear off, right? So on this side, you can actually see how bad it wore off. I actually put one of these on there to cover up the plastic piece on there. I reached out to Black Diamond. They do have a good warranty on these trekking poles, so they were unable to give me anything to fix it per se, but I was able to pick up a discount, and these are my brand new, I guess this is the replacement style. As you can see, there's a little bit change in the Alpine carbon cork Black Diamond. The flick locks are metallic. They're not plastic caps like you see on these last ones. I have not tried these out at all. These are brand new. I just got these in the mail, and I will be replacing my old school Alpine carbon cork trekking poles in the near future, mainly because it was end of life. There's no way to replace the tips there. So 8 years with these trekking poles. Definitely recommend Black Diamond trekking poles. Warranty is great, and again, they were able to help me get into another set of trekking poles. Definitely recommend them, but I also appreciate the discount to help me do that. I did carry a Space Bear Bags kit with me with sanitizer and soap, as well as the Dirt Diggler by Hilltop Packs. This is the trowel I use. Now, I would say that the majority of the time I was using a privy if I was on trail, just going into a shelter area, and I recommend people to use the privy areas as well versus digging a hole if possible. If you do dig a hole, make sure you follow proper leave no trace principles and dig deep enough. With that being said, I also used a CNOC Vecto X water bladder. This is a 3 liter. I recommend everyone to have 3 liters because I found that This is just enough water for you to, one, camel up, but more importantly, when you get to camp, have water to use for dinner, water to use throughout the night, and then water to have in the morning. So 1 liter for each one of those occasions I felt was more than enough. So when you fill up, this has the opportunity to fill up your water bottles with more than enough water. In terms of the water bottles though that I carried, I did carry 4 water bottles. As you can see here on the side, I carried 2 1-liter smart water bottles, as well as 2 1.5s. So I would carry all of these bottles, and I would camel up not only just the liters, but these actual 3 liters. I'd have up to 5 liters, because in some of the areas of the trail it would be dry, or it would be very hard to collect water. So what I would do is I would collect a lot of water in the morning, and with that being said, I would use the water throughout the day. And the 5 liters of water may have been a little excessive at times, but it was nice to have it, because throughout the day I would camel up and then have the water all the way to camp, and I wouldn't have to worry about that along the way. Okay, so down below here, this is the Hyperlite Unbound 40-liter backpack. And the reason why I like this backpack versus my Southwest 3400 was the storage and compartment areas. I'll go ahead and show you a little bit about that now. Specifically, you have a stretchy material on the basically 2 pockets where you can store like your water bottle or your water filtration there, and then say your poop kit or whatever items that you might need, your snacks. Anything could be held on the outside here, like your rain jacket and so forth like that. And then down below, what I used this for was I was putting my trash and things that I was using throughout the day. There's actually a little stuffed finger hole down here that I could actually stuff things while I was wearing it inside of this bottom piece. And as I got to camp or wherever I was, I could easily grab my trash out and throw that out. Love that about this backpack. And then I also love how big the side pockets are. Again, it's just more than enough room to put multiple bottles in there. So if I had a 1 liter and a 1.5, both would fit just perfectly on the side there. And I used these 2 pockets. This is by a company, Waymark. They aren't in business anymore, but I like them because of the stretchy lycra material. I would carry one side of my phone, and the other would be like my sunglasses and stuff like this. And that worked out just great. Earlier I was talking about Glacial Gear. From this stretchy pocket, I would have I guess it's called an Elite trail rag. This is a merino wool. This would be anything to wipe my face with, as well as a thermodrop here to obviously look at the temperature. But this was the front of my pack. 2 packs on the front. One to carry my phone, one to carry my sunglasses and so forth. And then there was these 2 pockets here where I would keep snacks. Most of my snacks would go in these pockets here, amongst other items that I might use throughout the day, like a cleansing cloth for my phone, or other items that I might need, sanitizer and things of that nature would go inside of those pockets. Anyway, so this is the Hyperlite Unbound 40. Definitely recommend this backpack. Can't say enough good things about it. If you are in the market for a new backpack, definitely check out the Unbound 40. Now, this is a perfect pack for the summer months. What do I mean by that is that you're going to be taking your lighter gear, so you're going to have less room requirements. But when it comes to the difference between a 40-liter pack and a 55-liter, what I say to people is, like, you don't necessarily have to downgrade for the summer months. If you're going out longer distances, you're going to need that extra space for food. So the 40-liter pack was great for 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days out in terms of enough food, because I was taking about 2 pounds of food per day. Now this next pod here, this is the Hyperlite Unbound Hyperlite Mountain Gear pod. This is the large on the size here, but inside of this pod is where I would keep all of my clothes. Now what was in here, I'll go ahead and go through that now. This is the Montbell Plasma 1000 parka. So down, jacket, 1000 fill. I believe this comes in around 7 to 8 ounces, so super light, super warm, and I took this throughout the entire hike. This was with me from January 1st till the very end. The Montbell Plasma 1000 parka. This is an incredible piece of gear. If you can get your hands on this, I recommend picking this up. This is my favorite down jacket. Can't say enough good things about it. Again, for socks, I was wearing the Injinji. We already talked about it a little bit. The merino wool outdoor socks. I was wearing a TownShirt. This is one of their wonderful designs that they have available on their site. I do have a discount in case you guys are interested. Use code METRO for 15% off, or a percentage. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage is. Make sure you check out TownShirt. But this is great for SPF in terms of blocking UV rays and so forth. I wore this on my summit up to Mount Katahdin. I had another lightweight shirt that I wore as well. This is the Outdoor Research Echo, and this is super light material. This is a size medium, just to give you size on that. This is a great lightweight sun shirt. Definitely recommend this as an option if you're looking for an alternate to the TownShirt. In terms of my shorts, you might have seen me wearing these pink shorts. These were the chicken legs. The reason why I like them is because they had a liner, so I was not wearing underwear the entire time I was on this trail, but these are super light, very breathable, and I didn't get any chafing or any issues with these shorts at all. There was a back pocket where I kept my wallet and any other items that I needed, but these shorts are incredible. Can't say enough good things about them. At camp, I wore these Patagonia Terrebonne joggers. Love these, super light. Can't say enough good things about them. Tapered at the bottom, drawstring, and also has a zippered pocket in the back. For my camp shirt, or on trail, I wore from time to time. This was a North Face, I think it's called a flash dry material, just a bright orange shirt. Sometimes I wore this during the day, sometimes I wore it at camp. The reason why I had a separate pair of clothes for camp is because you're going to get super dirty during the day, so you want to make sure you have clean clothes to sleep in at night. Helps with quality of sleep. Just wanted to throw that out there. I got this Burgeon toboggan, or I guess what is a beanie right here. This is a microgrid fleece material, super light. Burgeon. They're out of New Hampshire. All of their products are made there. Definitely check them out. Good stuff. Second pair of socks. Well, I guess some of these clothes I will be wearing, some of them would be in my pack, just kind of giving you the whole perspective of what I was wearing or what was in my pack. Injinji liners again, and another pair of darn tough socks. The Squak Mountain Company Maverick. This is the 60. This is the material that I recommend. Anything past 60 I feel gets too hot as an active fleece, but even as I was wearing this at camp or whatnot, the 60 is just enough to keep you warm and not sweating. Anything above the 60 I feel kind of gets a little hot, so just keep that in mind. These are the Enlightened Equipment Copperfield wind pants. So in those moments where you're wearing those shorts all the time, it's gonna get cold, I would put those shorts on, obviously as my base, but then if I was up on the ridgeline, up on the Alpine, I would use these Enlightened Equipment Copperfield pants. And these Copperfield pants were just enough to block the wind and so forth. But that's all the items that I would keep inside of this Hyperlite pod. This is a Dyneema pod. Everything was kept dry. So some of the clothes I was wearing on trail, and then obviously the others I would be for my camp, and definitely did a good job there. As far as my food bag goes, I use the Hilltop Packs food bag, bear bag. This is the large. I also have the flat bottom on it. You can get any design that you'd like printed on there. I put Hikers of America. That's my website. If you guys haven't heard of Hikers of America, make sure you check out the website. Lots of great YouTube channels on there, events and things of that nature. So if you're into gear reviews, places to hike, and checking out other YouTube channels, make sure you check out Hikers of America. Again, Hilltop Packs. This is my food bag. Inside of it, it did have a spoon stash bag. I don't know if you can see that here below, but definitely get one of those to keep your spoon inside of it. In terms of elements I keep on side of my food bag, I'll go ahead and pull those out now. This was the Hyperlite rehydration pack. I did take an extra cup just so if I was using pour over coffee, I would have that option for that. In terms of my cook system, this is the Light AF stuff sack. used the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. And then I also had another Glacial Gear trail rag that I used as my cook system. So as I was cooking, I would throw this over my knee and then use this as a way to wipe my hands off and so forth. But this was my cook system. This is Totes 750 titanium pot in the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. Can't say enough good things about this. Lasted the entire way. I did keep my toiletry kit inside there, just real basic stuff. I did take a little bit of deodorant, some Body Glide, toothpaste, and such. This is my, I guess my keeping clean kit right here, as you say. I kept that in my food bag. And then for the rucksack, obviously I had some line, but the reason I'm bringing it out is I did use the dog bone. This is awesome. This is from Apex Giant. This is great for doing the PCT hang. Definitely say good things about that. Definitely check out the dog bone, worth the investment. Good stuff there. All right, so inside of here, this is my rain kit. Let me pull this over to the side. Used a Montbell Stuff Sack 2 liter, and then I was using the North Face Hyper Air Gore-Tex jacket. But if you were watching my videos, you probably saw that this jacket did start to fail, end of life after 8 years. Can't say enough good things about it, so instead of crying about spilt milk, I did get another jacket, which I will share with you now. And here it is. This is the Peak Shell rain jacket by Montbell. This is in large. This is an excellent piece of gear. Comes in at 7 ounces. This is also Gore-Tex. Does have pit zips and so forth. So for those that donated to help me get into this new rain jacket, thank you so much. But this is what I picked up, the Montbell rain jacket. Awesome, good stuff there. Alright, so for this next part, what I'm going to do here is kind of open up a little bit of space and show you my ditty bag. Because there's been a lot of questions about what was in my ditty bag. Let's go ahead and go through that now. First of all, I carried my Deploy gloves by Black Diamond. These are trekking gloves. They worked great. Have some microgrid to wipe your nose, but also had some nice raised traction for grabbing your trekking poles. I went through a few pairs of these. Black Diamond did send me a replacement pair. I don't have them right in front of me, but they did do well with their warranty. They did send me another pair, so thank you for that. I did have a cord organizer where I kept my cords, like a USB C to C, another C to C, a C to A, as well as a micro. Now this was all of the items that I needed. Where is that? A micro. These are the cords that I needed. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are from the airplane, so I'm not going to include those. And I also had a pair of headphones that I used for listening to things like music, and also for doing any type of like videos and things of that nature. I did use the USB-C Apple headphones there. I had some ibuprofen as well as Tylenol. This is my EDC kit. I used an Altoids can, and inside of here I had another charger, a pen, scissors, tweezers, earplugs, lighter, flashlight, another multi-tool, some toenail clippers, some miscellaneous items, some stamps, and then anything from like safety pins to thread and needle. All of that stuff fit inside of this little EDC kit, so I just wanted to show you that in more detail. I carried some Swedish dishcloths, one for inside my tent, one for outside my tent. Typically would let those dry on the outside of my pack. Inside of here was where I kept my medicine kit or any type of patch items that I might need for my sleeping pad or my tent. This is a cordage as well as my medicine kit. I would keep anything like ibuprofen, Benadryl, and things of that nature all inside of this little Altoids tin can here. I used the Flextail Zero Pump, as well as the Nightcore NU25 headlamp. I had a small piece of microfiber that I would use to wipe off my phone when it got sweaty. I did carry one little thing of mace. When I got attacked by a bear, I did not pull that out. I'm glad I did not, because that would have been messy inside the tent. Another pair of earplugs, definitely recommend that. A paper journal, as well as 2 pens and a Sharpie for signing things at like trail logs, but also making sure I wasn't using the pens that were at shelters to avoid catching norovirus. And then a Hilltop Packs stuff sack with 2 Injinji 10,000s, as well as this charging block. This had 2 USB-Cs and 1 USB-A. This is 67 watts. This is a little heavy, but again, using all of my cords, I was able to charge all at once, so I get my charging blocks done, as well as my phone, or my headlamp, or my Zero Pump for my sleeping pad. That gives you an idea. But that is everything that I carried with me in my pack.
So if you found any value in this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and send me your comments as I do respond. As always, thanks for watching, but until next time, let's keep moving.